In this video, I will be clarifying once and for all, is BIM the same as Revit? And for that, we need to understand what is BIM and how Revit fits in. Let's go. This video has been planned out according to the first few lessons of our new Introduction to BIM course that is now available on balkanarchitect.com. If you don't know, we are an Autodesk authorized training center and we teach mainly Revit, but now BIM systems too. You can find the full Introduction to BIM course by clicking on the link in the cards above and also down in the description below. For most people that are new to BIM or have never worked on a BIM project, they would say that BIM simply means that you work in Revit. Or they might take it a step further and say, well, Revit is a software, but BIM is a system. This is an understandable way of looking at this complex question, mainly because the overwhelming representation of Revit in most BIM projects. But it does miss a few key things. So let's try to clarify this often vague topic. Revit is a software, and it has been built to work within a BIM system, so we can refer to it as a BIM authoring tool. This definitely doesn't mean that BIM is Revit only, but just that Revit is undeniably a significant part of the larger BIM system. I also like to say that BIM isn't Revit, but Revit is BIM, because Revit tools do encourage you to work in a way that can be integrated in a BIM system. Now let's clarify what is BIM. BIM stands for Building Information Modeling. In other words, we are building a 3D digital model that holds information. If we have a project that is not BIM, you would have plans. These plans would have lines and hatches, and you would say this hatch represents concrete, so that part of the drawing must be concrete. You would also have some additional but separate documentation that says what type of concrete and probably some Excel spreadsheet indicating a manually calculated volume of concrete. This approach is slow, unreliable, and makes making changes really hard. Now let's do the same thing but in BIM. Let's say we're working in Revit and we have a 3D model instead of a 2D plan. But this doesn't make it BIM. What makes it BIM is that we can assign a material to that 3D geometry and define it as concrete, define which type of concrete, and easily schedule and calculate the total volume. It's not really necessary that we're using Revit for this, but it is necessary that we can assign information in form of parameters into our geometry. This makes extracting that information and making changes in the future a lot easier. So, does this whole approach make the project BIM? Not necessarily, but we're definitely going in the right direction. Now let's explain the phrase BIM as a system. Another way of looking at the BIM abbreviation is to say Building Information Management. This means that BIM is a system, and as any other system, it needs to be managed. In practice, this is what that looks like. First, it's the people. BIM only works when people collaborate. That means that architects, structural engineers, MEP engineers, contractors, facility managers, everybody working together, sharing information and coordinating their work. Second is the process. This is about workflows. How do we name our files? Where do we store them? Where do we share our models? How do we handle clashes? Who approves of what? Those questions might sound boring, but they're actually where projects either succeed or fail. Finally, we have technology. Yes, software matters, Revit matters, but technology is just the enabler. It's the thing that makes the people and processes work more efficiently. When you put technology first, you end up with a beautiful model that nobody can use. When you put people and processes first, technology becomes genuinely powerful. Think about what you can do with information when projects do use it properly. You can automatically generate quantity takeoffs, no more counting doors manually, for example. You can run energy analysis because your model knows the thermal properties of every single element. You can do clash detection because your model understands the spatial relationships, and you can hand over data to facility managers who will maintain the building for the next 50 years. On small projects, you might never need any of that, and that's fine. But on larger projects or projects with sophisticated clients, on projects in markets where BIM is mandated, this is the expectation. And here's the hard truth. Clients on those larger projects don't really pay for pretty pictures. They don't even pay for drawings either. They pay for decisions, and decisions require data. When a client asks, how much will this cost? Or will this meet the energy requirements? Or can this be built in 18 months? Those answers don't come from nice renderings or even a set of drawings. They come from information embedded in your model. So every time you're modeling in Revit, I want you to ask yourself, what information am I creating? Not just what geometry, but what data. I would like to conclude this video with a bit of advice. One thing that is very present in our industry is something that I call BIM Elitism. You've probably heard someone say, well, that's not BIM, or that's the wrong approach, or something similar. And this can often be true, but the problem is it's almost never followed with a suggestion on how to improve your work. It's usually just a way of boosting one's ego by commenting negatively on others' work. When you're just starting out or working in a small company that is struggling to implement BIM, it's fine to make mistakes, and it's not going to be perfect right away. Like any system, it does take time to build and can then be improved over time. Because I work with beginners, this is something that I find really frustrating. I see people do their best to understand something that often feels like infinite web of vague information. Just start, slowly. Learning Revit is often the best first step, and then go from there. Now, if you would like our help with learning Revit, I would recommend our Autodesk Certified Beginner to Intermediate Level course. Link is going to be up in the cards above and then also down in the description of this video. Now, if you already use Revit, then this Introduction to BIM course is the best next step. The link to it is also going to be up in the cards above and then also down in the description of this video. Thank you for watching, guys. Make sure to check out my website, balkanarchitect.com, for more Revit courses. There I have over 120 hours of content, and I'm adding more each week. Make sure to subscribe for more videos, and also I've added a video over there that might interest you as well.